Terry Bogard. Who the heck is this character who just got announced in Smash? I mean, most people, I guess an average person, wouldn't really know, or probably only seen him. Because trust me, I remember seeing the trailer and a lot of hype has been generated and confusion when this happened.
Hey, cover!
So I know what you're thinking. You're either one of two people. You're either one, the guy who's just like, who the hell is this character? And the other guy who's nutting in the background because Terry Bogard's in the game. But I actually played the original game, and I can actually tell you how it went down. I was really curious about how the origin of this character was, so I decided to play the OG Fatal Fury. So let's dive in and see how it goes. We start off with our main character, Terry. Oh wait, hold up. That's not the right one. Here's the right Terry. His origin starts off when he was a little boy living with his dad, Jeff Bogart, and he got into a fight with Geese. Geese eventually defeat him pretty bad, and Jeff dies in Terry's arms. Terry vowed revenge on Geese Howard. Several years later, he goes into the King of Fighters tournament. He decides to beat down in a real bout against Geese. So pretty much you can choose between the three characters, Joe, Terry, and Andy, but screw those two because we're mainly focused on Terry anyways. As you progress to the arcade, you're able to fight against 4 selectable opponents. Michael Max, then following up with Duck King, and then Sunfu Ray, Richard Meyer, Billy Kane, and then last but not least, the Goose. And that's pretty much the cast of characters of the 6 that you fight in this game. Every time the match is ended, Terry will say some dialogue that will further progress the story and you understanding the motivations between you and the main antagonist. I won't lose until I avenge my father's death. And then after that, Geese will have a line himself, and then it goes to the next match. Even though sometimes he may repeat himself, you kind of understand that Terry has a motivation. Unlike Street Fighter 2, when it's mainly just one-liners of them boasting or gloating about their own, abilities or whatever. This game has a genuine plot, unlike the other games during this time. And as you keep winning, Geese is getting more and more upset, and he's just like, you know what, now I gotta go deal with this dude by myself. Sure, it's not incredibly deep or impressive, but it sure is a nice touch during a time of age when it came out. So that I give a big thumbs up of execution. So right after you win the Fatal Fury tournament, Terry is introduced with some hot babes, and all of a sudden these Turks comes up and they pretty much demand that he has to go fight the Goose, and he is loose. And from that, you finally are able to have your final bout with the main antagonist himself. And trust me, this battle is kind of BS, I'm not gonna lie, but once you're able to crawl out the trenches and beat him, you're rewarded with this. And from that point on, Geese dies, and Terry is now able to live on as a newborn legend and able to rest of the vengeance of his father's death. Fatal Fury is a 3-button fighter. You have a dedicated punch, kick, and grab button. And you do have special attacks, which works the same like Street Fighter's quarter circle motions or charge motions. And that's pretty much it. This game, you do take a lot of damage of pretty much anything except blocking, but even that, the chip damage is insane. Getting hit by a simple light kick feels like you got hit by a heavy kick, and then getting hit by everything else feels like you just ate a combo. But that's to be a given, since damage scaling kinda didn't exist at the time. But I digress. The game feels good, it moves good, it sounds neat, feels good, sounds good. and it also has this nice stylized pixel art. I mean, it's really unique to have such a cast of characters in the background cheering you on as you fight. And then once you win, they're all cheering for you and whistling for the victor. Almost sort of like how in Street Fighter 2 and Balrog stage, when he wins, the people in the background are just shaking and, you know, moving their whole bodies and whatnot. And in Dawson stage, when you win, you know, you get the elephant screaming. So it's kind of like those two put together in every match. Also, I wanted to mention that when the match ends, there's a stage transition going from daytime to noon, and that's actually pretty amazing to hear me. I didn't think that would exist, but that's pretty cool. Another thing that I will have to mention is this game has a second layer. When another character is in death, I want to say, or on the second row, you're able to do a jump in that will kick from the other layer and back, and that blew my mind. It's really cool how, I guess above its time it was. You have stages that has rain effects like this, and characters are transitions to other ways like Sun Fu Rei. When after a certain amount of damage you'll take, you transform to this jacked up Master Roshi type dude. Or when you're fighting against Billy, he will eventually try to get another staff after it broke. And shoot, what was his name? The other dude who kind of looks like shoot, I don't remember his name. Adon or whatever, or Huan Jai, I guess. I'm just gonna call him Taekwondo dude. Eventually, if he takes a certain amount of damage, he drank something, and I don't know if he does more damage or not. But it's pretty cool. It's like you're going through a boss rush to go beat up geese eventually. I think the only gripe that I have, which could be hardware limitation, is that all stages have the same sprites, which is not a big deal to me. Interesting about this game is that you're able to play 2 players, but not the way that you would originally think for a fighting game. In this game, you will play together, or you have the option to fight against each other. It's kind of broken, if you ask me, because of the fact that the game is kind of designed to be on one-on-one. If you're playing 2 against 1, it defeats the purpose, to me at least. Computers won't be able to do much against it. It's just way too overpowered. One person can be hitting him on the other side, and the other guy can be hitting him on the other side, and what is he gonna do? It's just abysmal. You just destroy him so fast. But it is a fun thing to do, to be honest. You go around, you just go beat up all the opponents one by one, and there you go, you can just enjoy the story. It doesn't really help that damage scaling is so high. Well, not high, but damage scaling is non-existent, that they just die extremely fast. To defeat the opponent, you can now versus your teammate into a one-on-one match. I think this is pretty interesting. It just plays you like your standard, you know, traditional 90s fighting game, except with much more jank and unpolished stuff, since it wasn't supposed to be played like this, I'm assuming. And damage scaling just off the radar. Like, you can do Andy's elbow back to back to back because the recovery is so low. So it's insanity about the things and strats you can do just to get a kill. But it is fun and playable nonetheless. So it's pretty cool, you know, just pretty cool, good stuff. What is next is actually very interesting. It will be like the ports that the game had received off of many different platforms. You know, you got the arcade version, you got the Sega Saturn version. Sega Saturn? No, I don't think it's a Saturn. I think it was a Sega CD. Yes, the Sega CD version. Then you had the Genesis and some X800 thingy-mabobber. I don't know. But they all have their very interesting perks and quirks and what have you. What it goes down to is accessibility. I know that there is the Super Nintendo version and then there's the Genesis version, both fairly cheap if you own those original copies, if you want to play them. The Genesis version kind of looks a little murky, with some backgrounds looking kind of faded or missing. Some sort of graphics are also missing as well, and it plays, but it's missing something. The volume is also, not even the volume, the quality is off. And same with the Super Nintendo version. The Super Nintendo version is also not that perfect like the rest of them, but it does, in my opinion, look better than the Genesis version, but it's also missing some sort of sound quality or whatever. That X6800 or whatever, I don't know what that is, and I doubt that it's accessible either. But from what I've saw, if you somehow do have that one is, it looks interesting. It seems to run okay, but like when it comes to like certain animations, like when you're playing Sung Fu Ray or Sung Fu Ru, I don't know why I keep pronouncing his name, it is missing the rain effect, just like the other version, which I think is not the Sega CD, but they're missing, you know, some key aspects of it. The Neo Geo, that's what it was. My bad. It was the Neo Geo version that's missing that for some strange reason. But regardless, I say the best way to play this game and enjoy it would definitely be downloading Fightcade and getting some sort of ROM somehow. With Fightcade, it will be near arcade perfect. I want to say that. But it is the best and most accessible way for you to experience such a game without having to spend money or anything. And you can also play online with other individuals using Fightcade off of the Xbox One, the Nintendo Switch, and the PlayStation Network. They also have Fatal Fury on it, so if you ever want to play those versions, you can. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe they have online capabilities for you to play against other people. I'm not 100% sure on it, but if you want to do it that way, that's also an option. And I believe that they're running off of an arcade port or the Neo Geo version. Yeah, I think they're the Neo Geo version, if I'm correct or not. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you for tuning in and watching it from this point. If you did enjoy it, do leave a like and share it with your friends and help this channel grow. It took me a while to make this, unfortunately, longer than it should have, but if you don't feel like doing that, a simple like or something in the comments would do me some justice or whatever. That being said, I'll see you guys next time, and hopefully Terry is extremely fun in Smash once he arrives. Keep it safe out there, guys, and do take care.